Hello, everyone, and welcome to Is This About Business? I am your host, Mike Lavadorty.
Hi, and I'm Frankie Davidorty, your other host. And we are joined today with Alan Campbell, who's going to tell us all about himself and his business. Thank you, Alan.
Morning. Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Okay, so um about me and our business. So we're a overland interior manufacturing, design and manufacturing business up here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So we're about an hour east of Banff National Park in the Rocky Mountains. So we're in a I'd say probably one of the most beautiful spots in Canada. Climate wise, it can be questionable at times, as we've discussed, but it's like everything in life, it's all about balance. Um, so I originally from the oil and gas industry, primarily in pipeline construction and also the controls and automation industry.
Mm,
I spent the better part of my life working in that sphere. And about 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, the company I was working for decided to divest out of the pipeline industry and focus more on building wiring harnesses for EVs and that kind of a thing. So I was unfortunately with my years and years of experience, I was not. It just wasn't a good fit for me anymore. So my wife and I were discussing one night, what are we going to do? I was at the time I was about 52, 53. I said, I want to work. I enjoy working. So we thought about it and, could I have gone and joined another oil and gas company? Sure. But it's just going to be the same slice of bread with the same butter on it. It's the same sandwich, right? So my wife looked at me and she said, "Well, you've always been a very accomplished woodworker. I do a lot of, old school hand tool joinery, like mortise and tenon, so no nails, no screws.
yeah.
Always worked with a lot of exotic woods like canary woods and blah blah blah. And it was always a hobby, but it was always my happy place, right? So I would get out in the shop and I'd start, working away building a coffee table or a loft bed or something like that, and I would just lose myself in the work, right? It's obviously very high concentration because there's, a carpenter with 8 fingers and 2 thumbs is a good thing, but you start cutting those off and it's a bit of a career limiting move. So yeah, no, you just get into that groove, I guess you could say. It's like anything would be with like an artwork or a mechanical. You find something you enjoy. So she said to me, she said, "Well, you love your woodwork." She said, "You're very good at running a business." That's what I'd been doing. So she said, "Why don't we marry those two together and take our love? My wife and I both love the outdoors, and kind of put everything into a blender, hit pulse, and see what comes out of it." And here we are with the company, and so we're just into our 5th year now, and we've loved every minute of it. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times when it feels like you're going, 500 miles an hour in a go-kart with no seatbelt on, but it's still a rush, right? I mean, you still have even the bad times in business, you have to find the good points in those, right? So we've had our share of struggles. I mean, we've taken many trips on the struggle bus in our first, 4 years getting this off the ground. And realistically, overland business in North America is still really in its infancy. Overlanding really started about 30 or 40 years ago in the outback of Australia and in South Africa. That's where this whole overland terminology came from, was from that part of the world. So here in Canada, I'm just to say North America. Um, the reality is we're still in our infancy, but it's when I look at it in the automotive market, I would say that the overlanding as a whole, I'm just going to use it as an umbrella term, is likely the fastest growing component of the automotive industry. I mean, EVs are scaling back right now, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot of challenges. I mean, you may not see it as much as we see it up in Canada. I mean, we've had a lot of our municipal municipalities, big cities like Calgary's 1.6 million, Vancouver, so on and so forth. They've switched out to electric or EV bus fleets. And, the city of Edmonton bought, I think it was 16 electric buses, and they're all parked. None of them work because it's too cold, right? Because, yeah, the bus will run for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then they have to pull it off the road. So they have their choice: turn the diesel heaters on that, heat the cabin of the bus, or keep those off and keep the bus moving. So you've got either freezing people on the inside, or you've got warm people, but the bus doesn't work. So yeah, I mean, it's my background is actually electrical, so I really look at this, and it's just common sense, right? I mean, capacitance or batteries, they lose their effectiveness in cold weather. So when I look at the overland industry, and why I say it's growing so quickly within the automotive realm, as you look at manufacturers like, I'm most familiar with Toyota, of course. It's kind of the quintessential brand that people drive for overlanding due to reliability, access to upgrade parts, etc. Um, so with Toyota, you look at their new fourth gen Tacoma, their sixth generation Forerunner. They're coming out with an actual factory overland edition, right? They call it the Tacoma Trail Hunter and the Forerunner Trail Hunter. So, which they have overland upgrades put into them already. So, when the factories are actually paying attention and offering units off the floor with some of those upgrades already done, it's a growing market, because it's a pretty big investment to retool a production line to add in X components, right? It's not something that you do for $1.50 and a blank inside card, right? It's a fairly expensive endeavor. So yeah, I really look at this overlanding thing in North America as a growing market. Our challenges that we have in North America as opposed to South Africa or Australia, of course, number one is, as I mentioned, is climate.
Mhm.
So, camping in the Australian outback isn't as much of a big deal, other than that, every bug and animal there wants to kill you. That's, it's a little easier here in Canada. I mean, we have bears and mountain lions, but, we can figure those out pretty easily. But yeah, so I mean, it's the cold weather aspect. So adding in diesel heaters or convection, electric convection heaters. There's other challenges that, even looking at it from a metallurgy standpoint, uh, or any type of material that you're using, we have to make sure that it's also going to be effective in -30 weather, right? So because there's a lot of people that still camp this time of year. It's great. Oh yeah, it's not uncommon. You drive out to the ski hills like Lake Louise or Sunshine Village or Whistler out in BC. Now you see, instead of people paying $400 a night for a hotel room during peak ski season, they're building this truck out. It's completely self-contained, so you have bathroom facilities inside of it. You have water. You're sleeping. It's heated. You can cook. You can basically do everything that you would in even more than what you could do in a hotel room, because you can cook for yourself. You don't need to go to a restaurant. So you go to the ski hill, and you'll see these trucks all over the parking lot in the winter now. So there's a bit of there's a real movement on up here right now, and also in the US. I mean, you look at some of the people that have been big in getting the overland market going in uh in North America, and they're mostly South African guys, right? That have really brought this to Canada, or to North America. So like, Ronnie Dahl, Dahl, is one guy you should actually look up and see if you can. If you want to explore more into this overlanding thing, get Ronnie on your show. He is a plethora of information and understands the history and the challenges because he actually lives in his. He does some amazing adventures, like doing the Pan American Highway, going all the way from Alaska to the southern tip of Argentina, right, by vehicle. There's a lot of people that do that kind of journey with these vehicles. So I think, people are starting to see that, yeah, you can spend $10,000 on a 10-day trip to Mexico in the winter, and yeah, you'll get a couple memories out of it. Or do you spend $40,000 upgrading your truck to make it 100% overland capable? So suspension, re-gearing, camper canopy, interior, water systems, all the electrical that you have to do. But you've got something that you can go anywhere you want within legal authority, of course, anytime you want. So it really opens up people to the availability of terrain that you can find around North America. It's stunning. Like, you think you go through, through the Rockies, Colorado, Wyoming, Idaho, down in there at the Pacific Northwest. It is an overlanding mecca, right? So how overlanding really, for me, it differentiates from off-roading. Okay. I mean, overlanding is such a massive, like I say, it's an umbrella term. You have your traditional off-roaders that put on, these massive tires, and the trucks look like hell.
Yeah.
They're just beat up and everything. Those are technically, the off-roaders. They want to go down up these massive rock walls and things, or rock crawlers. Whereas overlanding is much more, it's much more toned down. Yeah, yes, you get into some very sketchy situations where you might have to drop your truck off a 3-foot drop off into a mud pit and then winch your way out of that and keep going. But we're not trying to go up a rock wall, right? So like some of these other guys do. So it's more of a sustainable approach. And I think, the overlanding community as a whole, they generally in practice work with tread lightly, right? And when you're going camping, it's very, very conscientious around Mother Nature and taking care of things. Take out more than you bring in, right? Don't leave your garbage laying around and stuff. And even up here in Alberta, we actually have a group called Trails for Tomorrow, and we work with our provincial, or state for you guys, government, on keeping these trails open, because there are people that get out on ATVs, and even the off-roaders, they go and they wreck the trails, and they'll use the trail for a garbage dump. They'll throw an old couch out there, and they'll chop down green trees and stuff like that. So there's a lot of the things that the overland community, I find, is picking up that slack and trying to change the perception around people taking off-road vehicles or overland vehicles back in the environment, where it's people in the past see the great big trucks or the monstrous tires flinging mud everywhere. Well, this is not what we do, right? We're go slow, be very careful. We use specialized equipment, sand ladders, these kind of things, to do channel crossing, so we're not, affecting the waterways and things like that. Or if we have to cross a waterway, it's at a very specified point where it won't disturb downstream fish populations, those kind of things. So there's, and this is, like I say, it's a learning curve here in North America for people to understand that the overlanding community is not this tear the trails up, have a good time, let's drink some whiskey and go drive in our trucks. No, it's not that, right? It's just not that at all. So what we've done with our business is we basically use as many sustainable products as we can. So everything that we build is built out of Baltic birch. So the only place in the world that those trees, those birch trees come from is our Baltic states. So Russia, Finland, Latvia, Estonia, everybody around the Baltic Sea. So Baltic birch trees differ from North American trees, meaning that they grow rapidly. They grow really, really fast. Like we would see a cottonwood or a poplar tree, you plant the seed and you turn around and you got a 60-foot tree in your backyard. So it's more of a environmentally friendly wood product. But the beautiful thing is it's probably the strongest plywood you'll find on the market, bar none, and it's waterproof. They build yachts out of it, so it's a waterproof plywood. So we use that. All of our wood stains, our finishes, and things like that, they're all water based. We don't use any petroleum based products because we don't want anything gassing off the back. If you're driving in a 100-degree day through the Sierra Nevadas, you have a great big black aluminum canopy on the back of your truck, and the sun's been beating on that all day, especially if you have 200 watts of solar panels on the top. It's just attracting that heat. You go to open the back of that canopy, it's not going to be 80 degrees in there. It's going to be cooking hot. So all of the products that we use for adhesives and coatings are all done with low to no VOCs so that we don't have any of that gassing off. So we've really taken it, we've taken a lot of we've taken approach with our business to put the human safety aspect as our most paramount thing. Um, and I think, we go the extra level. We're not we have obviously we have a website, but we don't sell product through the internet. You can't just order a Tacoma package off of us because we work with every individual client as a custom build. For instance, when you're building out an interior system and you're building these storage and seating benches, what works for somebody that's 5'7" is not going to work for somebody that's 6'5", right? I mean, the 6'5" person has their knees up around their ears, right? And the 5'7" person, their feet are dangling, right? So we work with each individual client so that we tailor all the features. We make sure that their equipment is going to fit, so everything is stored properly. But we go to the ends of the earth to make sure of that, but we also look at it from an engineering standpoint that we help the client to understand load balancing, right? Because you're adding typically 1,000 pounds or 1,200 pounds to these vehicles. It changes how everything handles, especially since the majority of that weight is over the rear axle. So all of a sudden your front axle has less weight on it. It decreases your steering ability. So what we really do is we work with our clients to say, okay, well, what gear do you have? What type of vehicle do you have? Because we look where the starting battery is it a right-hand drive or left-hand drive vehicle? Because we do work on some vehicles that are imported from Japan, let's say, or South Africa, it would be a right-hand drive. Where's the fuel tank? You look at a North American produced Toyota, traditionally, the driver, the fuel tank, and the starting battery are all down the driver's side. So you automatically have a weight bias towards that driver's side. So when we're building these things out, we'll bias as much weight over to the passenger side and as far forward in the box as we can. They're electrical, like their batteries and that kind of thing, so that we can kind of get that truck to level out a bit more. And also, keeping everything as low as possible, because you don't want a high center of gravity if you're going down a trail and all of a sudden the trail is like this.
Right.
You don't want a high center of gravity because tipping over in the middle of the forest is, from what I understand, is a bad thing to do. So you don't really want that.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of approach we take to these is making sure they're safe. Like even our anchoring systems, when we anchor our cabinets to the base plate, you're not as worried about the cabinets pulling away from the base plate or rather than if you have an impact, you rear end somebody or somebody rear ends you or you get T-boned. You don't want the bolts and the anchoring system shearing off and the cabinets going flying around. It's especially prevalent if you're in an SUV, right? Where you get in an accident with an SUV and you have a 200-pound drawer system in the back and you have two kids in the back seat. The last thing you want is that drawer system to go airborne in the event of a rollover accident or something. So even the equipment that we use for that, they're rated to, uh, 14,000 newtons of shear force, so about 2,900 foot-pounds of force to actually break one of our anchors. So our stuff is built, it's funny enough, the first cabinet I built as a prototype, I took it to the top of a great big hill, the biggest hill I could find in our area, and I threw the cabinet down the hill as hard as I could and brought it back to the shop and checked it. Everything was dead square, so we knew we had our construction methodology right. And there's a lot that goes into building these interior systems. It's a lot more than, going down to Home Depot, grabbing 2 sheets of plywood and a bucket of nails and hoping for the best, right? I mean, so
Right.
we've done 150 vehicles in 4 years. So, and in our first year, I think, we're lucky if we did 10. So when you really look at it, if you talk to 140 over 3 years, we're pretty busy. We get, some days we'll be booked out. In the spring, summer, and fall, we'll be booked out 90 days before we can even touch your build, right? So,
And
yeah,
are
yeah.
people, like, bringing the cars to you, or do you get shipments? Or, like, your customers kinda all over?
Yeah, we've had customers drive here to Calgary, so to Western Canada, all the way from Tennessee, Montreal, and Montreal is in Eastern Canada. It's a 45-hour drive one way.
What?
Yeah, it's 4,500 kilometers away from Calgary.
45-hour.
Yeah,
Alright, that's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, so they've driven here because we spent the time with them to actually, we spent hours designing their system with them, right? Whereas, nobody else really adds that personal touch for them. Um, we've had people from Toronto, which is a little closer. It's 3,500 kilometers away. Uh, we've had a ton of people from California come up here, a lot from the Pacific Northwest, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado. So we have customers from all over North America, and we've shipped product to Maryland, and we've shipped it to, I won't mention the person's name, but we shipped a shipment right to Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, California, for somebody that everybody would know the name if I said it. So
Very
yeah, so
cool.
we've done pretty well in the time that we've been around. With that growth coming so quickly, there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot
Absolutely.
of challenges. I mean, obviously you have to have the capital to start the business. You need obviously your insurance in place, all you have the proper equipment. You can't go down to Home Depot or a big box store and buy all the tooling that you need to build this product properly, right? So you need a CNC machine. You need to know how to run a CNC machine. There's a lot of these things you have to get, acquire. Then you also have to have the automotive knowledge. And I guess that's where my love as a young guy, before all this crap came to be. Uh, yeah. It used to maybe a tricolor beard, not so much anymore. No, it's just the Santa starter kit now. Uh, so no, I started out, my love of cars goes back to my dad. He used to be a pilot in the Royal Canadian Navy. He flew the S2 Hunter killer planes for the Canadian Navy back during the Cold War and things. And he uh, he made me very aware that he had to sell his 1957 Thunderbird and buy a 1966 Ford station wagon because of me, because I was born. Right. So you can't have mama and a baby in a two-seater. It's not going to work. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I was. So dad always blamed me for that, but I loved cars growing up. My dad and I both loved cars. Um, you know, I, I've always loved modifying cars. I was a drag racer for years until I hit the Jersey barriers going 140 miles an hour and decided that I probably shouldn't do this anymore. It's just, yeah, no, no, thanks. So I've always been building vehicles, right? I can't keep anything stock, right? I can't. I just, no matter what I do, I have to change out the wheels and tires. I have to do something with the suspension. And the next thing you know, I'm putting underdrive pulleys on superchargers and stuff. And my wife just sits there and shakes her head like I have 10 heads. She doesn't know what's wrong with me some days. It's like, I'm a guy, right? We do shit like this. It is what it is. Just you'll have to live with it. So like I say, that's kind of where I fit in with this industry. That's where I kind of fell in love with it. And I can say, there's days when I mumble and groan. I think all of us do about our jobs some days, but realistically, in the winter, a day like this, we heat our shop with a pellet stove, so a biomass stove. And I go out there in this wood shop. There's a fireplace running, like a burning wood fire going in the shop. Um, and I'm a bit of a sap at Christmas time. I'm a Bing Crosby kind of guy, right? I love the oldies. I love the Dean Martins, and that kind of thing. And I'll have the Christmas music on, cutting wood and, operating the CNC, the fire going, and it almost brings a tear to my eye.
Mhm.
Whereas when I was telling you about my oil and gas career, it would bring a tear to my eye some days too, but it wasn't from enjoyment.
I'm sure,
Right.
yeah.
It was like, uh-oh. So yeah, it's something that, and working with my wife, it would be, I think a lot of people would find that a challenge to work with their spouse.
Mhm.
But Joanne and I mean, we've been together for, I guess it's, 18 years now. And she's an only child. I'm an only child. We have an only child. So we have this really weird dynamic, right? That really, really works. She gets me and I get her. So we work together very well. She does all of the upholstery work. So she adheres all of the coatings to the builds. I'm the guy that designs it and builds it. She makes it look good, right? So
Great.
yeah, yeah, it works out really, really well. And our son, he's 21 now, and he'll probably be coming on board with us this summer to start an internship with us because he's okay at carpentry, but he's not very fussy. And I'm stupidly fussy. It makes Joanne crazy because I don't work in metric, which people find that surprising, me being in Canada. I don't work in metric, but I'm just of that age where I grew up with both,
Mhm.
imperial and metric. I was part of the program in elementary school to convert over to metric, but I work in 30 seconds of an inch. So that is more accurate than millimeters, which is 25ths of an inch. So it just works out better. So yeah, I mean, my son, he's more of like a quarter inch kind of guy, right? Like, yeah, no, 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 no. You have to be a little fussier than that. So he's going to come on so that our business, that's basically our succession plan, right? Is so our son will take it over from us and keep I would hazard to say that we're building a legacy here. That's not it at all. But I tend to be my wife tells me I'm too modest, but it's weird when you are getting referrals, when customers are calling you and saying that they were referred to us by a van builder in Oregon that I've never heard of before. And they're saying, just call Fart Systems. So, and
Love
maybe,
that.
in saying that name, Fart Systems, I should probably expand on that. So fart isn't like the gaseous expulsion. It's actually the a lot of people ask about it, so I'll just clear it up. So it's actually the German word for driving adventure. Like years and years ago, they had the Volkswagen commercial. It was called Fahrvergnügen, which is the joy of driving. Well, Fahrt is actually how it's pronounced, and that actually means a driving journey. So it does work well with our business. My wife came up with the name. I had a couple other names I wanted to call it, and she ixnayed those. Yeah, she asked me, she said, "What about Fart Systems?" And I said, "Yeah, no." No, that's not gonna work at all. So, then she explained it to me, and I'm like, "You know what? That makes sense. It actually works," and I think that's one thing with a business name, is you want something that and I use the word trigger, and I mean, triggers is a very misused term today, but you want something that triggers people's curiosity,
Mhm.
right? Fart systems, like, what the heck is fart systems, right? So the next thing you know, they throw it in Google and they look you up and you're like, "Oh, shit, that's pretty cool stuff," right? So I think we've had 3 customers that, have actually been a little bit taken aback by the name, but honestly, I it's if somebody wants to be offended by the name, I mean, there's
Right.
bigger fish to fry in life than be worried about what somebody
Right.
calls you,
Right.
so
Turn the news on.
yeah, right? Exactly, yeah, right? Yeah, get ready for a shocker every moment. So,
It's always a surprise.
it's fun up here in Canada. I mean, I don't take politics that seriously.
Mhm.
Um, the one thing with politics, it's like when British Petroleum, BP, and Amoco merged. I don't know if yeah, it's probably before your time. I remember it, and that was like one of the biggest mergers ever in oil and gas, and it literally the dynamics of that merger changed every time you turned a page. So I always look at politics kind of like the BP Amoco merger, that something's going to change every moment. No
Mhm.
politician is forever. It's everything will change. Yeah, I mean, we talk about tariff challenges and that kind of thing, and I know it sounds weird, but I kind of really, not to go down to a political rabbit hole. That's not the intent. I understand why certain politicians do certain things to generate revenue.
Mhm.
It's how they know how to do it, right? I know how to generate revenue by building interior systems. Other people know how to generate revenue by taxing other countries. So, I guess it depends which hat you're wearing that day. So,
Right. Tomato,
and
tomato.
it's okay, because you know what? It's here for now, but it'll be gone someday.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It's everything around the world. So I don't pay attention to it, to be honest with you. I can't. I couldn't be bothered. Right?
Right.
It's just,
Well, yeah, you're so busy building out all these amazing vehicles and everything. I mean, you
yeah,
have
yeah,
been very
yeah.
busy. This is amazing to hear your story of how you went from turning something into like from a passion, like literally a passion, and then working with your wife and bringing this to fruition and making it into a business. That is amazing. And then having the success to come with it too. That's really, and I mean, you kind of built yourself into a niche market,
We
your
did.
passion and your interest and your background and everything just kind of aligned you to be in that right spot, right timing
Mm.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
where you're able to do that and understand it because you have the mind for that, which is crazy. I mean, the
But
way that you think.
it drives my wife Joanne crazy, because she actually has a condition. It is what it is, and it affects. I think it's less than 0.3% of people around the world, where they literally lack imagination. They can't envision something. They can't.
Yeah.
You say, okay, well, I'm going to build something. Da 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 da. They literally can't visualize it in your head. So she's an extremely tactile, hands-on person that doesn't have the vision, but what she does do, she's insanely precise on. So I'm the other way. I can literally do, like, generate 3D CAD drawings in my head. I can see them all coming together when I close my eyes. And see, and she looked at me one day. She's like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean you can see it in your head?" Because obviously, with her condition, she didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And she's like, "That's a miracle and stuff." I'm like, "No, I'm just normal." So we didn't talk for a day or so, but no, I'm joking. She'll just call me an a-hole and move on.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a fun thing about working with your best friend too, right? Is you can insult each other and carry on and have a laugh. So
You always know where you're coming from, so it's all
yeah,
good.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like she said, she just knows I'm a jerk. It's just no, I jest. No, we get along great. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I mean, that's the how our business really works is we have two completely polar opposite, I'm not gonna say personalities, but work metrics. She sticks to what she does, the financials and those kind of things, the QuickBooks, the blah 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 blah. I focus on the designs, the engineering, the business planning going forward. So our next steps, where we're going to invest what money into what to expand our operations. And, do we open up an office in the US? We even talked about relocating to the US at one point because it's just a bigger market. It's 10 times what we are. But I lived in the US from 2001 to 2006. And I think we talked about that. My first day in the US, the day I took possession of my house, was 9/11. That
Mm,
morning, I took possession of it, right? So, it was in Colorado. And, I often thought I really, actually, I do miss living in the States. I do. I'm just going to be perfectly honest. Again, governments aside, that's kind of their window dressing. The core of it is the people, right? And I had nothing but good things in the US. It was fantastic down there. So I thought about it. Joanne is originally from the UK, so she was born and raised in England, um, up in the West Midlands. So, her parents are here in Calgary. She came over with them, and our son's here, and it just wouldn't make sense to move at this point. Her parents are aging, of course, right? And I moved back from the US, partially because INS at the time, or Homeland Security, whatever it was. And my company I was working for screwed up some paperwork, so I had to move back. But nonetheless, my parents were aging. Being an only child, you want to be close to them. But I mean, if they're gone now, but if I had, if I didn't have those, I don't want to call them constraints, but those challenges,
mm,
I probably would move it down to the US, or we at least open a location down there, right? So,
be awesome. Maybe that's, in 5-year plan kind of
well,
situation.
I love Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Okay.
That
Mm,
that would be my place to be. It's so. I think New Mexico is probably the most underrated states in the US, for what it provides for outdoor activities, right? It's to me, Santa Fe, and I spent a lot of time down there through Moab and Utah, obviously in Yellowstone. I just about called it Jellystone. A little bit of
You
a
first.
throwback to Yogi Bear there.
I know.
So, that just goes to show my age.
That's so
But
good.
yeah, no, I love it down there. And it's everything that I found down there. I had more net income, much more net income because the taxes were so much lower. Food prices were half the price that we pay in Canada. And I don't drink. I used to, but I kind of grew out of it, I guess. Even things like, I drink, when I do drink beer, it's a very specific beer. It comes from it's brewed by monks in a monastery in Belgium. So there's
Yeah.
no preservatives in it. Um, you know, I to buy four small bottles of that here in Canada is $37 for four beers. And I was getting them in the States for I think it was about $2.50 a beer. Granted, this goes back 15 years, but just the same, it's just kind of like, holy shit.
yeah, it's like probably more now. That's
Yeah, right.
yeah.
So it's crazy, but yeah, I mean, I loved it down there. But so, anyways, so that when I look at the industry, the U.S. is kind of leading the charge, right? Canada is coming along. We have one canopy camper manufacturer in Canada, called Blind Man Overland, and that's actually, if you guys want to hear a really good story, he's got a great story. He's same thing for me, ex oil and gas guy. Now he's manufacturing these overland campers, right? So, and I mean, literally sacrificed everything to do this for his company. And he's got a great story and just an amazing person to talk to, a very kind soul. But so there's not there's ourselves in Canada. There's a couple other small manufacturers, but you mentioned earlier, Frankie, that it's the timing, right? So we started into this at the right time, right? It was still fairly, it was, people had heard of it, but they didn't understand it. So there was a very small group. But now you mention overlanding and people are like, oh yeah, we know what that is. And it could be just any, Johnny on the street would know what you're talking about. So now we got in at the right time. And I wouldn't want to be starting a business like we have now today, because there's been a few other companies pop up. There's been a lot more in the US come up. And originally, I mean, the granddaddy of overland interiors in North America is a company out of Colorado called Goose Gear, run by this fellow named Brian. Great product, great product. I mean, he's kind of the original gangster. He's the OG, right? So we kind of look up to Brian for a lot of things, and he's just a great guy. So yeah, I mean, there's a few other companies in the States. Realistically, you guys have the seasons that make it a little I wouldn't, honestly, Mike and Frankie, if I told you guys, hey, come on up, I'll take you guys camping in minus 35 degrees Celsius, you'd smack me over the
You'll
head with a stick,
die.
right? You'd be like, yeah, no, we're good.
It's a long way from Arizona temperatures.
Well, it'd be like the same thing, say, you guys saying to me, hey, let's go camping, and it's 110 out. I'd be like, oh, God, no, no,
That's
no,
fair. Yeah.
no, no, no. I'm just running for the water or shade at that point. But yeah, no, so it's I think it's a fun industry. But to kind of circle back, what I was saying about the what was it called? The the manufacturers getting into this, Dodge, Ram, Stellantis, whatever, they're doing
Uh-huh.
it now. So they have these kits that you can put on. Chevrolet started it with the Chevy Colorado Bison, which comes with factory installed high lift suspension, bigger wheels and tires, different gearing.
Mm.
Ford is doing it with the new Bronco. Like you can get the standard two-wheel drive, go to Costco on Saturday vehicle, or you can get the one that has the big beefy tires and is actually built up for off-roading or overlanding. So
Mhm.
when you look at all the manufacturers getting into it, especially the North American manufacturers, it's a trend that is going to continue,
Right.
for some time to come.
That's great. That sounds fun though.
You
So
guys
where
do a lot, you guys do a
find
lot of
you so
editing,
they
right?
can and how can people find you and reach out to you and get more information or if they're interested in building something out?
So we're on the internet. Of course, we have a website. It's fartsystems.com. So FAHRT systems.com. Alternately, you can get us on Instagram. We're at fart_systems. We're on Facebook as well. We don't usually use Facebook that much anymore. It's kind of seems to be a bit of a dying thing for commercial enterprise. Facebook is kind of going down a bit. So that's usually where you find us. We're, again, like I say, we're up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So people that come to us for builds, here's the nice thing. We build everything prior to you getting here. You'll pull up to our shop in the morning. You get to hang out with us for 4 hours. We install your system. Then you can be on the road out to Banff National Park. You can be going out to Vancouver Island that same day. So a lot of people that come up here for this install, they'll make a 10-day trip out of it where they'll go and explore the Canadian Rockies. You can drive from Calgary out to Banff. It takes an hour. You can drive from Banff up to Jasper National Park, which takes 3 hours, all through the mountains, mountain highways. From Jasper, you can go over into central British Columbia, down into Golden and places like that. It's just absolutely stunning scenery to see here, and the wildlife, right? I mean, tons of bears. I mean, you guaranteed you drive the Banff Jasper Highway, you'll see moose, you'll see grizzly bear, you'll see black bear. So unless my wife is with you, then of course no. Yeah, because every time she goes on a road trip, I don't see anything, not even a bloody ground squirrel. She's just like this jinx. She has like this she emits some kind of frequency that scares all the wildlife away, right? So,
That feels perfect.
yeah,
No
right.
grizzly bears there.
Yeah,
Right.
that's actually a big thing here for us too. I mean, we have to camp and we have to be very bear aware when we camp. So you don't cook inside your vehicle here. That's a really bad idea, right? So, park rangers will actually, if they catch you in a public campground, if they catch you storing your cooking supplies, if you haven't cleaned everything up, put it in a tote and put it in a bear can, if you just throw it in your car, they'll confiscate all your stuff. They'll just take it away. Because the reason being is once a bear figures out that cars have food in them,
Eh,
it becomes a very big danger. So then the bear is shot. The bear is euthanized. And that's the last thing we want to do, right? We don't want to be killing the wildlife because we've conditioned them to human food. So
Mhm.
that's a pretty big thing that we practice up here is the bear aware. But yeah, you guys ever get up here? I'll take you out to the mountains, man. It's all you have to do is when we're done this, Google the Banff Springs Hotel. Just look it up. Look up Banff Springs Hotel winter pictures. And that's the biggest hotel out in Banff. The Queen of England, when she was still alive, stayed at that hotel numerous times. King Charles stays there. There's a
okay.
royal suite there. It's absolutely stunning. It's literally a Christmas card. It really is. Is you guys,
Okay.
but yeah, if you guys like I say, if you guys ever want to come up here, I'll gladly host you guys for a few days and take you out and you can see literally that our water here in the mountains is literally aquamarine blue because of the minerals. It's not a filter
Hmm.
on a photo. It's literally as blue as the bluest eyes you could ever imagine, right? So it's and there's a massive lake that used to be on the back of our $20 bill that the Banff Spring Hotel backs onto. So again, it's and the nice thing is you guys come up here with $7 US, you could live like a king for a year, right? Just with the exchange rate. No, it's not that bad. It's or Canadian, we call it the Canadian peso right now, right? Because it's just hurting. It's just
Oh, so
we
bad.
just our dollar just sucks.
Amazing. Awesome. Well,
Man, we
thank you.
went way over time, didn't we? That's 47 minutes.
Oh, don't even worry about it. It's
Oh,
been
good. Yeah.
amazing hearing everything and learning everything because, like, you have so much knowledge and there's so many great stories and stuff too. So,
Yeah. And then the fact too that
like,
people can, have their install same day. I think that's
yeah,
incredible.
It's
Instead of,
that
fun.
is incredible.
Yeah,
yeah,
we
like
we
a
have a
month
150-pound
process
dog.
too.
We have
Yeah.
this gigantic Leonberger. I mean, he's the world's biggest baby, but he literally looks like a grizzly bear cub. I mean, our kitchen island is 36 inches tall, which is normal kitchen counter height. He can literally, without stretching, set his head right on top of the island.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's 150 pounds and he's small for a male. He's a little small. His name's Bubby. And Bubby
Yep.
is the world's biggest suck you would ever see in your life. He's been attacked by 4 other dogs, all golden retrievers for some reason, and he's
Weird.
never even curled a lip. He'll never fight back. He's the most gentle soul. But yeah, so all of the customers that come up here, they get to meet Bubby. And they all want to like take him with them, right? It's like, yeah, no, dog's not included. Sorry. You know, so no, it's a lot of fun for customers. They get to hang out with Joanne and I too for the day. They get to see how everything works. And we walk them through a tutorial how to remove the system. It's like literally we could have a system installed. They decided 2 months later they want to take the whole system out. They can have the whole thing removed in 20 minutes. So we've just engineered all the fastening system, so it's really quick and easy. It's not a complicated system, which is I wanted to make it really user friendly. So it works well. It works really well.
That's so awesome.
Sounds
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Well,
And we,
thank
like I say, we have fun with our customers. Actually, a lot of our customers have become friends, right? So that's the cool part. They'll just stop by for a visit and, pop in the shop and come in and have a coffee and shoot the shit for a while. It's a lot of fun. We've built, I think that's actually one of the biggest takeaways I've had from this business is meeting so many cool people,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? Just some absolute legends as well, right? I met some people that are just like, holy crap. You're like, I had one guy, he's a long retired NHL goalie. But when I was still playing, I was a goaltender in ice hockey. When I was still playing hockey, he was like kind of a guy I looked up to, right? As a bit of a role model. And I just finished a build for him,
Oh,
right? So
so
that's the kind of cool. I mean, he phoned me on the phone. He said his name, and I'm just like, "You're not the same guy that was a goalie for the Vancouver Canucks and for the Detroit Red Wings, are you?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Holy shit!" So I immediately asked him, I said, "What about that fight you had with that Philly goalie?" And he's like, "Oh, I didn't even know the guy at the time, right?" So we ended up we're friends, right? Now we're pretty good buddies.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just the cool stories about what these people are doing with them, like driving down to Argentina, to Patagonia, right? There's one guy, he's the CEO of a tech company. They had a 18-month-old baby, he and his wife, and they brought their truck all the way from Toronto to us with this custom build. He was 6'4" and she was 5 feet tall. So to get up into the upper sleeping areas in these vehicles, she needed a special step up cabinet and things like that. But he literally has Starlink on his truck. They are living in their truck for 2 years and touring all over North, Central, and South America with their baby so that they can kind of their baby's growing up on the road with them. So he works during the day from the back of his truck. That's where his office is now, doing Zoom meetings over Starlink. So people are starting to see that if you have the ability to work from home, your home could be literally in the middle of a pine tree forest,
That's
right?
awesome.
That's where you're going to work from today. And
Yeah,
tomorrow could be the ocean side, right? So
yeah.
it's really opening up a lot of people's eyes as to what you can actually do with these vehicles. So it's a lot of fun to hear the stories about what people do with them.
I bet. Exciting. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Mike.
thank
Thanks,
you for
Frankie.
your
Always a
time.
pleasure. You guys are a riot. You guys are fun. So I'm
Yeah, you're
sorry I'm
great.
such a motor mouth, Joanne. If
No, we
she was
love it.
here,
It's great.
thankfully she's
Yeah.
out walking the Brontosaurus. But yeah, yeah, if she was here, she would have cuffed me in the back of the head and said, "Shut your mouth." I'm like, "Ah, it's a problem of mine."
No, you've been great. We look forward to speaking with you again.
Yeah,
Yes.
anytime, guys. Anytime.